Bro, just turn down the noise. Just listen to your own thoughts for once and stop trying to find something to replace those thoughts that are in your head. Let me ask you something. The thoughts that you hear in your head, the voices that speak to you constantly throughout the day, is that your own voice? Do you know where that's coming from? Is that you talking? Is that you from a higher self talking? Is that a higher power speaking to you? Start asking yourself these questions. Start being curious. Because how you grow, how you learn is just to be curious. And at 20 years old, I'm realizing that's how I can truly grow as a man. It's to continue asking these hard questions that everyone else around me just seems to ignore. The voice in my head that gets my attention to want to pick up my phone for dopamine. Why do I do that? Why do I choose to wake up at 4:15 every single day? Why do I choose some of the thoughts that I have? What affects them? It's just all questions you got to ask yourself. And life is about getting answers to them and constantly learning. If there's someone making more money than you, if there's someone at a higher level than you don't know everything. There's always more to learn. And ego death has been one of the biggest learning lessons from me. Another big one is not telling but showing. In the sense that if you want to go out and get something done, don't just speak about it. Don't tell your friends you're gonna get in the gym. Don't tell this girl that you're gonna get a six pack. Go out and get it. And then let the proof be the results for you. And show those results. Because that's the best way you're gonna prove it is if they see the six pack, not hear you talking about it. If they see you in the gym, not hear you speaking about what you're gonna do in the gym. If they see you with the money, not hearing about what you're gonna do with the money once you have it. It's all about going out and getting it. I'm right now sitting in a local church parking lot near where I live, and I'm sitting, you can't really see it, but I'm sitting on the DoorDash app because I'm doing anything I can to add to my income, to make money, because I'm tired of just telling myself I'm gonna get to a higher place. I really want to move to an apartment on my own. I'm living with my parents right now, and the only way I can do that is putting in as much input as possible. If that means that I have to DoorDash a little bit on a Tuesday night, on a Saturday night, sacrifice some time of going out to pointless parties, clubs, frat parties with friends with people that I won't even know in the next 2 years, or I might not even remember the next night or the next day. Why should I do that? I feel like this DoorDash run right now, even though I'm making this talk right now because it's not busy, I feel like that's gonna matter a whole lot more. I feel like that's gonna matter a whole lot more instead of me going to a club on a Saturday night and getting drunk and partying with people I don't even know. That's not my college experience. My experience that I want to have in my 20s is busting my ass off and going through the hardship and pushing myself through hard things and finding out who I am, finding out who that voice is in my head, asking questions and continuously learning. 'Cause every single day, my actions, I've grown to realize you have to align your actions with what your desires are, and those two things must be congruent in order for you to succeed and consider yourself a success. Because my perception of success is a man who is in pursuit of a worthy ideal. Your worthy ideal might be different from mine. I might want to live in Toronto, Canada. You might want to live in Miami, Florida. It's two different goals, two different definitions of success. So it's all about if you are taking steps towards that, focusing on the micro goals that you set for yourself, those small wins that add up that don't feel like anything on a daily basis. And even though it might be as simple as going to the gym today, but it's going to reflect on your macro goal of having a six pack or being lean. And those micro wins that you set up for yourself, those daily tasks of hitting your macros, going to the gym, it's all going to contribute to that bigger goal. But you want to be too impatient. You want those results right now. You don't want to delay your gratification, because as humans, that's how we were wired. We were wired to constantly want the reward. When our ancestors were out in the safaris chasing out animals, they want instant reward. They wanted to hunt down the lion, hunt down the zebra, the cow, whatever it was for dinner, and their immediate reward was right in front of them, what they ate. We're wired that way. But just recently, in the past couple 100 years, it has switched to delayed gratification, to where the reward you want is a lot further away than the work that you're putting in right now. And that's how you have to wire your brain in order to continuously progress towards your goals. Listen, I know I've been rambling for a little bit now, and I recently, as weird as this is gonna sound, before I went out to try to get some money with DoorDash, which is still, I might be getting an order soon, which is cool. But as weird as it might sound, before this, I was talking to myself for 30 minutes. I was texting back and forth between myself. I I picked up on this exercise that Alex Hormozy talks about, and I believe he called it the Solomon Project. I might be wrong, but that's when he was on a Google Doc in a texting format talking to his older 85-year-old self, because those thoughts are inside of you. That guidance that you have, that gut instinct you have to make a decision on the fly, that fight or flight is in you. And having that conversation, asking myself better questions, because he phrased it like this: no one knows you better than yourself. And that's true. No one has the context that you do about your life, and no one has the instincts that you do except you. It is unique to you out of the 8 billion or so people on this world. And who else would I want to make a decision about my life or give me advice about my life than myself? So I tried that exercise out, and it felt spiritually connected. As soon as I started texting myself, I got this feeling in my heart. And recently I've started walking along a spiritual journey. And I'll give you a little bit of context. So all my life I haven't been religious. I haven't been tied to any spirituality. So my concept, my perception of religions, spirituality is completely different from what you might have, because my childhood wasn't involved with that. My parents didn't deny it. They more so didn't really talk too much about it. They didn't force it on me, which I'm thankful for, because I get such a unique perspective than someone who was in a certain religion based off family. And I have nothing against that, because I realized that's how families are raised, is through religion. And I started seeing the world from a realistic lens of more science-based lens and find reality in everything that happens. And just now recently I'm starting to take steps towards spirituality because I realized that there is a higher power. There had to be something in this universe that created me and is giving this talk right here where I'm talking to you through this camera on this made up platform that wasn't existent 1,000 years ago of YouTube, or even 100 years ago of YouTube. So something had to create that. Something had to put us on this earth, and I'm aware of that. And I choose to believe in a higher power that's greater than me because I know it's only me and that higher power can write the next chapters of my life. And I'm realizing that, and I realize how powerful it can be of a spiritual connection. And little reflection towards this as well is that spirituality can really take you to new levels in your life that you could have never discovered about yourself without it. For example, and I'm about to quote something that I learned in college, which is one of the only times that I will because I dropped out a year and a half into college. But we did this study about prisoners in Auschwitz. And I'm gonna assume that everyone watching this video right now knows about Nazis, Auschwitz, and the I don't know if it's the Holocaust camps, but that's definitely not right. But anyways, the prisoners of Auschwitz, these like torture camps that they would literally send the prisoners just to die. And how do you have any hope? How do you have any motive to keep going if you know you're gonna die and you're getting treated like shit the whole time? And I watched a documentary about the prisoners' experience in that moment, and they all tied it to religion. They all realized there was a greater purpose that they were serving beyond them. And even though they're not there, it's hard to accept their sacrifice of their life, their suffering is going to be for the greater good of others in the future. And they tied that to spirituality. And that was the reason why they could get up every single day, even though every single day they got beat down and treated like less than humans, being these prisoners in Auschwitz, is because spirituality. So I know, so I say that to make you realize, I say that to bring light to how powerful spirituality can be and what you can achieve with it. And I know I want that to be part of my life. And I'm 20 years old, so I am taking steps towards it. I'm open minded towards spirituality. I'm open minded towards spirituality and I'm open about religion. So I'm just studying religions like Islam or Christianity and just learning about them because I know that's an important step in my life and I don't want to rush it because I know I will want to raise my kids that way on whatever path I choose. I want the same for my kids. So not rushing at all with that decision. And I'm letting the higher power choose that for me and ultimately what I'm called towards. So all that to connect it back to that conversation that I had with my older self. In my example, in my Solomon project, I was talking to my 70-year-old self. And I got this feeling in my heart again. This is why I tied it to spirituality. And I felt like I was talking to a higher power in that moment. Even though I was the one texting myself, felt like I was talking to a higher power. And those thoughts came from beyond me. And that's what you can do by tapping into a higher frequency. It's what you can do by leveling up your consciousness because there are levels to consciousness. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, look up the chart, the frequency chart, and it will show you all of these different emotions that humans feel. And ultimately the conscious levels of us humans, and being able to tap into a higher frequency allows you to tap into something called infinite intelligence. And I can hear myself talking with infinite intelligence where all the answers are coming to me. That's when I tap into a higher intelligence. That's when I am at a higher consciousness. And that's something that I'm really trying to figure out right now. And I'm trying to figure out how I can consistently tap into that higher frequency because those answers come within. You know the answers, you just haven't put yourself at that frequency yet. You haven't become that man that you choose to be yet. And again, I hear myself talking in that frequency when I warm myself up to it. For example, today I was on a call with one of the clients that I'm running my program through with. And the first 30 minutes of our call, I was just chatting about like, oh, how are you doing with your splits? How's your nutrition going? And then I warm myself up to 30, 45 minutes into the call. And this client is one of my good friends. And the reason why he's in my program first off is because I want the best for him. And we also split up that call to talk about his business as well because he has his own business as an entrepreneur. And I just started flowing with all of these answers that I didn't even know and explaining it in a way that I couldn't do it at a lower consciousness. And I realized I felt that I was in that flow state. Everyone can relate to being in a flow state, whether you play in sports, being in a flow state playing basketball and just constantly making shots, or any sport that you played in high school, or just being in a flow state with getting tasks done or working on task. You're in a flow state continuously getting task after task done, but in conversational skill and the way that I can just pull answers out of my head and tap into intelligence that I haven't even thought of yet from a higher power. It all connects to spirituality and those conversations that I had with my older self connected to that higher power. It's a simulation of that. And I get to ask myself deep questions because, again, no one knows you better than yourself. No one has the context better than yourself. Out of 8 billion or so people in this world, the only person who knows you best is yourself. And you just have to tap into that higher frequency and conversate with your older self because I guarantee nothing you truly care about right now, he's going to care about. He's going to care about at 70 years old, at 85 years old. What he will care about is the things you chose not to do. Like pursuing that one idea you have in your head, or pursuing getting in the gym and actually being fit and sticking with it. I bet your 70-year-old self would appreciate that, no? Being fit and not just going for some ripped physique, but actually putting yourself in a better position to where you don't have to talk to a 70-year-old version of yourself that's dying, but a 85-year-old version of yourself that is thriving. I bet he would appreciate that. So you ask yourself those questions and you put that in perspective of how would my 85-year-old self react, and you realize a lot of these things in your life right now truly don't matter. It doesn't matter for what he's going to think. What matters is what you do or do not do. If you continue to procrastinate, if you continue to just sit back and scroll on your phone, the fuck is he gonna do? He's not gonna be in a position you want him to. And no one's gonna be more grateful for the work that you put in except him. So it really shifts your perspective, and that exercise is definitely something that broadens your vision, broadens your consciousness. I know certainly I benefited from it because I realized there's levels to this. I realized the more I know, the more I realize I know nothing. Really, I'm learning every single day. If there's someone making more money than me, then there's something I obviously don't know. Even if you are at a higher version of someone, there might be something that they're experienced in and expertise in that you might not know and you might want to learn from. Just watch this video and Mr. Beast, I'm not sure where he's gonna be by the time of recording this video, but I'm sure he's doing great numbers and beyond successful for what he's doing. But even though he's at the top of the top of the top, he still asks people lower than him questions about things that he doesn't really know. He's never had an ego. Think about it. The most successful YouTuber on this planet. He's never really had an ego, and he's what, like 25 years old? Give a 25-year-old man all the attention in the world, all the money in the world, all the influence truly in the world, and any sane 25-year-old wouldn't know what to do with that. They would have an ego trip and just do the most. But for some reason, he doesn't. That's because he continuously wants to learn. He knows he's not perfect at everything. And I take inspiration from that because even though I'm not at a Mr. Beast level, I don't deny the fact that there's a there's so much I don't know yet. There's so much to learn, and I continuously love pushing myself daily because I continue to find learning lessons in life daily. Last thing I want to touch on, and this really hit home for me. I had this conversation with one of my coworkers while I was working, and it still sticks with me and rings in my head to this day. And I'm gonna close off this video here. But this guy he's a custodian. He's a janitor at my work. And obviously you have that perspective of, oh, he's a janitor. He don't got much going for him. He's the most spiritually intelligent man I have ever spoken to. And instantly, anytime I'm in the room with him, regardless of talking to him or not, I feel myself instantly rise to a higher vibration just because of that energy he gives off, rubs off to everyone in the room. And he's such a spiritually intelligent man, and he does something called chicken noodle soup for the soul. And that's kind of what it is. It's that warm soup that you drink when you're feeling a little bit low energy for your soul. He's a spiritual guy, and he's one hell of a motivational speaker. I watch a lot of Ed Milet, and he's a deca millionaire, very successful entrepreneur, and he is ranked as one of the best personal development speakers on this world. And everything that custodian, my coworker, does, like I compare Ed Milet and him in a room, and they give me the same emotion. They leave me with the same frequency at a higher state. Like this guy is really good at what he does. But enough of that. What he told me, and he knows I'm getting into spirituality. What he told me is the higher power will send you. You can ask any question you want. If you want, if you want patience, if you ask the higher power, if you ask God for patience, He's not just going to gift it to you. He's going to give it to you in a form of a question, in a form of a learning lesson. And he said it in this specific way. He said, when you pass away and God is reading you what you did throughout your life, he has his notebook out, I forgot how he phrased it, but he has his like diary of your life out, and he's looking at your mistakes that you had in your life, the good, the bad that you did, the bad things that you did, the lessons you didn't learn. He's going through them. He said, yeah, last Saturday, didn't I send that person to come speak to you about patience? Why didn't you learn from that? Are you sure I didn't send him to your room to speak about patience? You didn't learn anything from that? You didn't take that lesson? That's how he phrased it. The higher power sending the thing you want, the thing you ask for, which in this example is patience, in a form of a person, try to teach it to you. Patience of waiting in line. My bad, my camera cut out because my storage got full. But regardless, boys, I just want to say thank you if you're listening this far into this video. I truly feel that I was able to just talk my mind in this video, and that's what I want to do for any video that I put out for y'all is just give y'all some chicken noodle soup for the soul. Which is a beautiful saying that again he says to me and he gives to me in forms of motivation, in forms of lessons that the higher power is giving to me through him, which is beautiful. Boys, hopefully you got something from this. Share this with someone you think needs to hear it as well. And never give up, never give in. Continue to stay focused, continue to stay disciplined, and get the work done, fellas. Get the work done because that's all that really matters. What will your 85-year-old self think if you don't take action on the thing that is holding you back right now? Get the work done.